So, Kids for Peace has grown into a global movement. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you were seeing, how Kids for Peace came about.
Yeah, so you did mention that I'm a mom. So I have two children, Hannah and Bodhi, and they are now 27 and 25 years old. 20 years ago, we started Kids for Peace. So Bodhi was 5, Hannah was 7. It was post 9/11 time. I was a full-time mom at the time. And with 9/11, I mean, that just blew up our world in so many ways. And there was so much fear, like everywhere. People were just afraid. And growing up, I was able to travel a lot and connect with other people and make friends around the world. And I knew that when we can make friends with other people around the world, first of all, we don't want to hurt our friends then. So that was a big driving force with Kids for Peace, is to expose kids to other cultures and make friends around the world. Um, but there was just so much fear. And I know that one of the antidotes to fear is taking action, taking positive action. So
That's
really
right.
wanted to give our kids an opportunity to envision what they wanted their world to look like and then take action to make it so. And so, so 20 years ago, it was just in my backyard. I gathered my kids and some of their neighborhood kids and had an amazing co-founder, Danielle Graham. She was a high school junior at the time, and she and I were the co-leaders. And Danielle had very wisely told me, because I still had my teacher brain on, so I'm like trying to make lesson plans and really guide what we were going to be doing. And Danielle very gently said to me, like, "Well, what would happen, Jill, if we just ask the kids what they want their world to look like, and ask the kids what they wanted to do?" And that became the foundation, and that's what we did. So we asked them, and from their vision for what their world could look like, we created a peace pledge. And from that peace pledge, that became the organizing force. It became our roadmap to peace. And that's, to this day, the same pledge is what our chapters all over the world put into action in ways that are personally meaningful and culturally relevant. It looks very different in San Diego than it does in Pakistan or in Iraq or in Kenya. So there's finding ways that what the kids all care about in their communities and doing things based on that.
I love that. And I also love the fact that you were willing to co found this organization or movement. I'm not sure that you knew what it was going to turn into, with a young person. I think that's pretty amazing. And what it shows is a real curiosity and a desire to really dig in a way that's very different than it would be if it were two adults, or a couple of adults kind of imposing something on young people.
Absolutely. We would for sure be a different organization if it wasn't for Danielle and those simple questions of what would this look like if we asked the kids. And that really become everything. And when kids are empowered, they really take the ownership then, and then it gets inside their soul, when it is theirs. And so this wasn't something they were just showing up to do, but this was something that they were creating, and they were Kids for Peace. Like, they claimed it and made it so. And so I give all credit to Danielle for that gentle prodding with those powerful questions that she has.
Why did you, Jill, have an interest in starting with children instead of adults?
Gandhi is one of my heroes. And Mahatma Gandhi has a quote that says, "If we are to achieve lasting peace, we must begin with the children." And so I've always been moved by that quote, and I see the truth in that. And with my work with kids, I just I just knew that quote makes so much sense from Gandhi, that we really need to start fresh and have that ingrained in them from a young age. And then I had my own kids, and maybe even a little bit selfishly, having my two kids, wanting them to have an opportunity um, to really be co-creators and what their life was going to look like.
I think what's really interesting, for me about what you're doing is that you recognize that the importance of seeing what's happening outside of your own backyard. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we live in our homes with our caretakers and we interact with our neighbors at the grocery store, at the gas station, and at school. And if we find work and find our career within that same environment, we can sometimes miss out on what happens outside of the confines of our own experience. Not a bad thing, but it's the person living even a state over, or even a town over, can have a very different experience than the one that a person is experiencing every day. And so, really, and social media doesn't do it. Going on social media and looking at photos does not do it justice. There's something really beautiful about having the opportunity to, as you said, speak. I come from New York. I was born in Brooklyn. And so I grew up in an environment where I was around people from all over the world, and it went beyond black and white. Like, it was people from every country in the world, every background, every experience. And there's something to be said about having access to that level of that kind of diversity, because that's a different kind of diversity than the diversity that we talk about sometimes on a day-to-day basis. It opens your heart.
Yes, yes. That is the true gift, to be able to grow up in that environment. And then then curiosity really takes over, and then acceptance, and then the joy of all being together. And so many people don't start with that that lead way. They really are, especially today, are starting from a place of fear that's ingrained in them, and it's just, it doesn't have to be that way. So we're working as much as we can to have everyone start at this starting line with love and acceptance and curiosity and welcoming.